think we're good.
Good.
Hello?
You start.
I'm starting.
I'm practicing not being in control.
Oh, well. She didn't warn me about this. She just throws me in.
See if he takes
with
the reins.
So we have started.
Yeah.
Oh, we're 50 seconds in and we haven't even said anything. I feel like I'm way far away. Maybe I need to sit up a little bit. So,
the table.
this week, is this the third video?
No, fourth.
Fourth video.
Might even be the fifth.
No, it's definitely not the fifth. So I was out of town last week. We threatened to be able to, because we watched our video from last week, we threatened to try and get one done Saturday. And we had quite the Saturday, and then followed by Valentine's Day on Sunday.
Yeah, we put a family dog down Saturday.
Yep.
8-year-old Odin, our oldest son's Rottweiler, and basically our first grand doggy.
Yep, it was a sad day. But he crossed the Rainbow Bridge and he's somewhere with Grandma.
Yeah.
Wherever that is.
Yep, wherever that is. We don't really know where we go when we die, right?
So then we had Valentine's Day the next day, and then we've gotten snow, and
yeah, we're in Missouri. Those of you that aren't in Missouri, well, a lot of the United States has got snow. You may be in Texas and you have snow. Yeah. And we listened to our last video, and we did not do what we were supposed to be doing. Like,
our
gratitudes. Like, I need to have 3 gratitudes that I tell him every night, and then he needs to have 3 that he tells me, and we didn't do that. And him being gone was, I kind of, like, took a break from stuff. I didn't have it, like, on the front burner.
Well, and the other issue that we quite frankly had was my phone was non-functional for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Literally. So anyway, we're not making excuses, just facts. Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts.
Well, and the reality of it is the work that we're doing is really deep, complicated work that isn't always going to be, we're not perfect and we're not trying to be perfect, but it's not going to sometimes flow. And when your partner isn't home, it's easier to then, but what I would like to do, my intention is to be doing my work, my personal work. And I did do that. I just didn't do, we didn't come up with our definitive yeses and nos either. It's kind of hard for me to even wrap my brain around that piece.
Yeah, well, that piece references what we like to do together, right? And or what we don't want to do with the other, that the other likes, or
right. And I mean, he could say, I'm gonna go get on the motorcycle, and I'd be like, can I go? And I'd be like, I'm gonna go to a movie, and he'd be like, can I go? And so
unless
we don't have a whole lot,
unless it's one of those movies.
Well, yeah, but we don't have a whole lot that we don't like to do together. So practicing the individuation and allowing the other person to have their space. Now, I'm pretty sure as we go on in life here, because now we have the awareness, which is interesting because that's the name of the chapter that we read last night, things will change and he'll start to develop his group of friends, and I am actually starting to develop my group of friends. So I'm thinking in my head that a friend was like, oh yeah, you guys always do everything together, and I was like, well, we really like spending time with one another. So it's not like that part is codependent. We can be apart from each other, and I can go do my thing, and he hasn't had time to develop his thing. So we'll see how I behave when he goes and wants to do his thing.
So speaking of his thing, one of the things that I do want to address, and we did read the chapter yesterday that had a lot to do with awareness.
The
and
Secret of Awareness.
the awareness,
for those of you that are just catching us.
The awareness around Valentine's Day. So I guess the thing that maybe it's a pattern, I guess.
Old patterns of behavior.
But, she gets nice flowers, which I love flowers. I love giving her flowers. But then usually she'd have, I don't know, wear something nice to bed and we'd make love on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty common. And there was part of Roger that wanted to put the individuation and the friendship on the side. And I don't know that I really wanted to go all the way there. I really wanted a little bit more closeness than the friends closeness, but I didn't want. She doesn't believe.
However, he didn't say that. So
yeah.
I'm getting all kinds of signals from him that he wants something more than where we're at. And I'm like, these are all old patterns of behavior. And I did not on my side of it either. And this is the whole learning curve and whatnot. I mean, we're just sharing our experience of what happened on Valentine's Day. I didn't step up and say, hey, what is this energy I'm getting from you? What do you, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking? What are you wanting? And I didn't say that either. And I ended up, by Sunday night, Monday morning, just thinking, which are old patterns of behavior for me, which is interesting because he's in his, and then that triggered me to be in mine. And it was like, fine, just give up, have sex with him and get it done with, get it over with. And that's exactly why I'm not having sex and haven't for a while, because I don't want it to be like that anymore. I don't want it to just be close my eyes, get it over with in 5 minutes, and I don't have to be a part of it. I don't have to be connected. I don't have connection. I don't have to have. That's not true.
What?
That's true.
It's never only 5 minutes. That's what I said.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't agree with you. We've had encounters that were 5 minutes.
No.
And then done.
No.
And a lot of my behavior in the past was I roll over and cry. And he didn't know that I could cry or was crying, because I learned as a child from my trauma to cry in silence, like absolute silence. And I didn't really realize it was like a thing until I was in group therapy years ago when I started going to therapy. And I was crying in the group therapy session with these other women. It was a women's group. And I was bawling and I was not making a sound. And the therapist came over and sat next to me and put her arm around me and asked me to, if I could, make sound. And I think we went over this. Was it just yesterday? I think I learned to not make sound because I think with the trauma, whoever was traumatizing me, was probably telling me to shut up. And I very slightly remember being hit. And of course, at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, when things are happening to you, you're going to make noise and be loud and maybe screaming. And then you're going to be told to shut up because, it has to be a secret and nobody can hear you. And then I do remember throughout my life being a silent crier at night when I was going to bed. I would not make any sound. So anyway, back to Valentine's Day and old patterns of behavior. And he and I need to allow each other to, and we both need to step up and have some courage to have those hard conversations, which is what we did yesterday morning. And so it's that learning process. So chapter 3, the secret of awareness. So what did you want to say about that? There's a lot in this chapter.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, and what was his name again?
Jon Kabat-Zinn.
So this was really bizarre. Before we read this chapter, Amelia had a video that we watched about mindfulness and meditation, I guess. Well, we haven't even quite finished it all, but
No, we haven't finished.
But the fellow's name was Jon Kabat-Zinn. Some of you may or may not be aware of him. I personally was not. So we opened the book to this chapter, and the very first, I don't know if you can, the way this is set up, there's, a little italicized piece of information. It's not really a poem, it's a paragraph. But it's kind of bizarre because I can't see it.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you have your glasses?
I do have my specs with me. I'm just going to read it real quick.
Okay.
Awareness is not the same as thought. It lies beyond thinking, although it makes use of thinking, honoring its value and its power. Awareness is more like a vessel which can hold and contain our thinking, helping us to see and know our thoughts as thoughts, rather than getting caught up in them as reality. Jon Kabat-Zinn. I just thought that was pretty freaking bizarre because literally I'd never heard the man's name before that I was aware of. I know Miss Katerina would probably say, Dad, I can't believe you don't know Jon Kabat-Zinn, but talk about an idiosyncrasy. So anyway, that's where we got into the extremely involved discussion around awareness and the awarenesses that we then went back and looked at and acknowledged around Valentine's Day, and even the previous week of me being separated. I became one of the things that I was aware of is that I've chosen a business that when I am gone, it requires a lot of me physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so that's one of the things that, and it's easy for her to just, be here, but and that doesn't mean I don't think about her, because I think about her and the family and always have a lot when I'm gone. But there's so much other stuff going on that I just became aware of that piece, that there's so much when I go to do a large job, like which I did last week. It was a rather large job and a lot of literally 19 degrees below zero when we're out doing a moving job. And that's not the wind chill. It was in Nebraska. So I was prepping for the quote cold that we have here now, even though it is cold, I'll acknowledge. But anyway, so that's a piece that I became aware of, and this whole chapter around awareness, I don't know if you what did we want to say around?
Well, one of my awarenesses when he's gone, and I've had this awareness, and it came up again last week, that I feel much safer talking about my feelings towards him when he's gone than when he's here. And I think that goes back to the control piece, which we talked about last time. And I'm really looking at and wanting, and I'm practicing pretty good on letting that go. And it's not just with him, it's with the kids and life in general, and that I don't always have to have an answer, and I can just allow the flow of life to happen. So there, I said this is a really long chapter and very, very in depth. zeroing in on the fear. When he read this, he was reading at this point last night. When we bring awareness, the third powerful secret of relationships, to these fears of the mind, we take the first step in drawing them out of the shadows and into the light of day, where we can learn to heal them. For this reason, we want you to take a moment to make a list of all the specific fears you have about relationships. And I thought that was very interesting last night, and I did write that down in my notebook. I've never even thought about where I could have fears in relationships, whether it's with him or my sister or my family or the mailman or, any of that stuff. So this is kind of like opening a brand new door. It may be an ongoing process to identify these fears, but as soon as you start, you can begin to watch for the ways in which they manifest in your life. The list below provides a few examples of common fears that occur in relationships to get you started. And I was amazed I think I can say yes to almost every single one of these, except maybe one. And so I'm going to read them. I am afraid my partner will leave me. And we can both say what your
abandonment issues. Yes.
Yes.
Probably
yes.
my number one issue.
Yes. I am afraid my partner won't understand me. Yes. Yes or no?
Je ne comprends.
I am afraid my partner will fall out of love with me. Yes.
Yes.
I'm afraid I will fall out of love with my partner. Yes.
No.
And I have a tie there with money. So, and that's another topic for another day.
Wait a minute. You're afraid I'm going to fall out of love with you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, that's not ever going to happen.
Yeah, that you're going to leave. It's that fear of abandonment thing. I'm afraid I will be stuck in an unhappy relationship. Yes. If this all doesn't work, this is like the last ditch effort for me, I think, this year of really going to this extreme. I mean, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, what he would think if I said, we're like done and we're going to, I don't know. I just have that fear that you would leave. I'm afraid my partner will be unfaithful. We both crossed that bridge. So I'm afraid my partner won't forgive me. Yes. Answer?
Yes.
I'm afraid I won't find a good partner. That's the one that doesn't fit for me.
I already have a good partner.
Then I am afraid I won't be a good partner. Yes, I have that fear. And then they say, now it's your turn. What are some of the fears you have experienced around relationships? Some of these fears may be big, some may be small, but all are capable of sneaking up on you in your interactions with your beloved and can cause havoc until you are aware of them. So anger, it goes into anger and then closing off. Emotions, it talks about your shadow self, which is very interesting to look at that. And then awareness of your partner's reactions. I just thought it was very interesting that we read this and we had the experience that we had for Valentine's Day. And then Monday morning having the conversation and having to have the hard conversation and going into vulnerability and because I still suffer a lot with that whole idea that I don't matter. I don't count. I don't matter. I grew up in an era, I'm 56, and I'm there for his satisfaction. I don't get a say. I don't get a say in what happens. He's the one that says what happens. And I feel like in a lot of our relationship, that's the way it was. And that's what I learned. And that was Leave It to Beaver. And that was the Brady Bunch. And that was, all the stuff on the media. And then, it's like, okay, but I do matter and I don't want to. So I have to continue to find my voice in that and be able to stand up for myself and say it and look that abandonment issue right in the face and be able to stand face to face with it and not let it absolutely tear me down and tear me apart. which I think is part of all of my addictive behaviors in the past: the food, the alcohol, spending money, avoiding, running away from my house, driving, like that, and then busy. It's all a way to distract from feeling.
So one of the things I wanted to mention, she kind of ripped through it pretty quick, and I put a big old star next to it when we were talking about the awareness. I can't. Let's see if I can read it. Oh, yeah. So it says anger is one of the most blatant ways that psychological fears present themselves. And the awareness that I have around anger, and it's, well, I'm assuming nobody that I even know will probably even watch this, whether or not they do, but anybody that was around my family of origin knows that my father was an extremely angry individual. Yeah, he was a raging individual. And so the awareness that I have, and it's something that it's kind of ironic when you look at the dichotomy between Amelia and I, because so she grew up in that situation where she was never heard. When she was being traumatized, nobody was going to listen to her. So it didn't really even matter if she said anything, and she probably got in trouble or
even
was silenced.
Noise.
Yeah, even
nobody paid attention.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where I was taken from the babysitters. I mean, I do remember being out in the middle of someplace and they were shooting guns, and I was in a convertible, like a red convertible, but it was nobody noticed. So go ahead.
So she has developed a thing where, in order to make sure she gets her point across or is heard, I guess is the better vernacular, is she gets loud. Well, when she gets loud, I flip into the to that. I don't want to hear that because I heard that my whole life, and well, it's a trigger. Is the right word. Her getting loud is one of my triggers from my trauma, because I had trauma. It was just a different type of trauma. So that's an awareness that we need to both have.
Right.
And when she's getting, in my judgment, loud, it may not even seem loud to her. But if it does to me, that means it flipped my trigger. And it's really, in order to have a healthy, loving relationship, I need to be able to say, and I don't know, I mean, I know there are people that understand how to do this, but there's a lot of people that don't. And when your partner is doing something or saying something that triggers you, it's incumbent upon you to take care of yourself and say, hey, that's too much, or can I just take a time out, or whatever, the remedy is.
And I do have done couple coaching, and it's important that he and I have an agreement that he can do that and that I can do that
without being rude and telling her to shut up. That's not the intent.
No, we need a pattern. When I'm triggered and I'm being loud, and he's triggered and he's retreating and avoiding and shutting down emotionally and totally like shutting out, like he doesn't even hear me.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
We both need, now that we have the awareness, see, it changes. Maya Angelou said, you can't go back and unlearn something you've learned. So now that we've had the awareness, because of the work that we're doing, he can, okay, so I'm being loud. He could say, whoa, wait a minute. I gotta take a breather here because I realized just now that I totally shut down and shut off. Can we take a breather and come back to this? And me being who I am and having the goal that we have to grow and change and expand and be this other couple.
And individuate.
Yes, and then I need to have my feelings too then, and realize and step back and go, oh, whew, okay, yeah, I was getting really, really loud there, and why was that happening? Was it the content of which we were discussing? Did that trigger something in me? And so now going forward, he can be aware of how he shuts down, and I can be aware of being loud. And in the future, he can say, wow, that went a lot different than it did 6 years ago when you brought up this same topic, and you were like really over the top loud screaming at me. And now we can discuss it and not have me shut down and you're not loud. And so we'll find that balance again. So yeah, and pattern interrupters are good when you're in that really emotional piece of, and we had an instance, and this is growth and learning. Sunday morning when the vet was there to put Odin down, he had an assistant with him. Saturday.
Yeah.
And we were just talking, and I term it nervous chatter. And he had given him the tranquilizer the first round, and then we had to wait like 15-20 minutes to have that take effect. And Odin was a pretty big dog, so we were kind of chit-chatting back and forth, all of us. And then he went to administer the final dose of chemicals and stuff, medicine. And the assistant and I were still talking. And so we were just chit-chatting back and forth about my feelings about getting Raven and Diesel and having them be inside dogs instead of outside dogs. And I don't want to have outside dogs again that I don't pay attention to. And so anyway, Kyle was on the floor with the vet, with Odin and Sarah. And Kyle turned and looked at me and said, "Can you shut the fuck up?" And at first, I was beside myself. I was like, oh my God. And I did say I said, it's just nervous chatter. But later, and it took me until the next day when we went and had coffee with Sarah and Kyle, that I was being disrespectful in a sacred space. And that is so not like me. And I don't ever, in that kind of a space, want to be unkind. And so we had to, awarenesses like that are happening on the speed up. They're happening at a much quicker rate now, the last year and into this year. So the awareness, I at first blamed him and was like, how dare he speak to his mother that way? And he can't do that. And I didn't say any of this to Kyle because I knew, with the emotions of the day, I was like, that's not gonna go well. So I waited until the end of our coffee date on Sunday, and I said to him, I apologize to you. I said, I was being disrespectful of what was happening, and I'm sorry. And that's not like me. And that's an awareness. It's like, okay, just, moving forward, be aware.
And we need to be aware that we're getting close to 30 minutes.
Yep. We keep getting tiny bit longer.
Yeah, you might just be shutting us out by now, but no, it's
so.
riveting TV, I'm sure.
Now, why do you make light of what we're doing?
I don't mean to I'm not making light of it. No,
I think the people that are watching, and they are sitting there listening and learning.
Well, I hope so. Yeah.
So.
But anyway.
And so that's, video, whatever. So we will plan.
Sure, that's
okay. This weekend coming up, we have Caleb has a strongman competition on Saturday, so we'll probably push the video to Sunday since this is Tuesday, and then hopefully by that next Friday get back on track.
Yeah, well,
of making videos.
It's all good.
Alrighty. We always turn British at the end. I don't know why. We didn't do a check-in or a check-out either.
No,
we'll find our
all
flow.
Good. I like just the way you started it with the.
Yeah, hopefully it turned out right.
The sacred space. Anyway, all right, I'm good.
Bye.
Peace out.